Good morning. You're very welcome. Our first class on YouTube. So I would like you to take a seat as comfortably as you can. If you find sitting on the ground or the mat uncomfortable, feel free to sit up in a chair. So just to take a few moments just to get comfortable in your seat. And then however you're sitting, whatever you're sitting on, if you could close your eyes and bring your attention to your breath. If you could notice your breath. Just begin to notice your inhalations and your exhalations. And as you're tuning into your breath, is it possible to let your body begin to relax? Let your shoulders relax. Even a little bit of movement just to notice, because so often we're kind of disconnected from parts of ourselves. That if parts of ourselves are holding, are protecting, the tendency is we create a little disconnect so we don't have to feel what's going on. And if you think about it, it's a great, incredible mechanism to support us in getting on with things. And then it's appropriate times to begin to explore these places and to refine our sensitivity. So what we're doing is becoming more astute, more aware of ourselves and of where we are in any given moment. And as we develop that sensitivity, we instinctively begin to know how to support ourselves more fully. So there's this idea of the wounded healer. The wounded healer. And there's two kind of aspects to this. One is the recognition that we all carry wounds. That we all carry stuff that's, I'll use the word a little broken, but not in the sense that there's anything wrong. This is just the human experience. It's the imperfection of our human experience. But we all have wounds. We've all been hurt. It's part of being in this human form is to experience suffering. That's part of the deal. And yet the healer aspect of it is, even if we look at our own lives, is about how we work with that. How we actually use that brokenness or woundedness to access the parts that can never be wounded. This is, I suppose, the conundrum of our experience. The paradox of being human is that we carry this very human wounded part that so often we'll find ways of not connecting into, blocking, disconnecting from, and that can spiral into all kinds of suffering in our own lives, but we see it very much in the world. Somebody made a really interesting comment about the idea that, really what Trump is a wounded little boy who's never faced his wounds. Robert Bly, who's was an amazing poet and did a lot of work with men. And he would talk about the idea that, men who have not faced their rage, who've not faced their anger, are the most, some of the most dangerous people in the world, and that kind of goes for all of us. So our practice is this invitation to explore what's in there. What are we carrying around? Can we notice it? And then the healing qualities, or the healing aspect, is how we learn to meet those places so that we bring a healing to ourselves. And in doing that, we bring this healing to the world. Yeah, so it's this is the place. And when we begin to quieten down and we begin to notice our breath and we begin to stop all of the doing that can so easily distract us, then we're beginning to enter this arena of the wounded healer, of honoring that space within ourselves, of looking toward the places that, so much of our programming will keep us locked away from, will keep us hidden from. But it's this invitation to really meet ourselves more fully. And that's the intention behind our practice. So there's different definitions of the word yoga, but to yoke, to connect, to unify, to bring the fragments together and to explore, well, what am I or who am I when all of these different parts of me become visible or connected to? And we're bringing the light of awareness to the fuller experience of ourselves. And look, most people in the world, a lot of people in the world, they don't do this work. because this work isn't easy, and it does mean, breaking of illusions, breaking of habits and patterns. It means facing up to ourselves in ways that can be really uncomfortable. And yet, when you begin to do this work, you realize, one, there's no way back once you start. And two, that there is such an incredible reward from beginning to really meet ourselves more fully. Like, it's unparalleled in terms of a deepening of contentment, a deepening of the richness that we can move through our systems. Yeah. So if we think of ourselves, this analogy I use a lot about the old radio, and you're turning the knob and you're tuning into the stations. Well, we're like that, and life is moving through us. And if we're not connecting into part of ourselves, or locking part of ourselves away, then that movement of energy doesn't happen fluidly. It's blocked, it's curtailed, it's stopped. We only get a part of what we could experience in terms of the richness of this life. And then we get stuck, and we've all been stuck at different times of our life. Maybe you're feeling stuck at the moment. These practices are a way of supporting you in beginning to loosen things up, open things up, and then explore that, one, you're bigger than anything that is moving through you. Any of the wounding, any of the blocks, any of the disconnect, they're only part of the experience. And part of what we talk about, or the idea that we align to through our practice in yoga, is this idea of karma. And that in one sense, everything you're going through is appropriate. You can never be where you're not meant to be, in one sense, that all of it can be used as an opportunity to grow, to learn, to feel more deeply, to feel more richly. And even that attitude, developing that attitude, opening to the possibility of that. I was chatting to somebody yesterday about the idea of fairness, and how often do we feel it's unfair. And yet when we begin to really feel into what's happening to us or with us or around us, that there's always an opportunity for our deepening of awareness. So we're sitting, noticing the breath, then go to the foundation of what you're sitting on. So notice your bum on whatever you're on, a chair or a brick or a floor or a book or a cushion. If you're on a chair and your 2 feet are on the floor, notice the soles of your feet. So really the truth is, unless we awaken to the ways in which we're connected to something bigger, we get stuck. The old paradigm of building the walls, of isolating ourselves, these ideas are crumbling. And the idea of feeling into how we're supported. So we do it very practically through our practice. We use our physical body. We feel the ways in which something solid is connecting to us at this moment. And we're connecting to that. And when you begin to pay attention to the solidness that's supporting you in any given moment, your nervous system will begin to shift. You will begin to move out of the contracted, protective, amygdala, reptilian brainstem, freeze, fight, flight, low-level anxiety state into something that has more freedom available to it. Because on a very practical level, your body's going, oh,